Okay, this is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres, and I'm talking about our Grow System 2017. Don't have really a name for it other than that. Maybe I'll come up with something. But, all right, another aspect of this that I did not mention is we have a pond right down here. And this pond gets a lot of the runoff from, the roads here. And I don't mean the roads out that the cars travel on. I just mean the farm roads, everything that runs off the barn roof, runs down the hill, and it collects down there. It's a pond that we used to swim in when the kids, well, when my older kids were younger. But then my daughter saw a leech one day, so that was the end of it. Not that anybody got a leech on them, but she saw a leech, so that was the end of it. And now it's full of leeches, so nobody swims in it anymore. And it has gotten a little overgrown, cattails and stuff like that. But the water has a lot of organic material in it because, it's fish in it, and storks and everything are landing in it. And then the kids fool around down there and go around with, they're down there catching goldfish right now. So that's something that we can move that with a PTO pump on our old tractor here. We move it up the hill. This is a root line. This line right here represents a root line. And then we have runs that come out like this. There's 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. No, there's 4 of them. And there'll be 3 sprinkler heads on each one. And it's an old-fashioned system that we were able to salvage, and it does move a lot of water very quickly. And so we're able to put a lot of that good organic laden water up on the field. Now that gives me a whole nother opportunity here. Let's say that I could just dump a lot of Miracle-Gro into that pond down there. Well, I could do that if I wanted to, and then I would be pumping that up in the irrigation water. But what if I did something else? What if I wanted the bacterial count in that water to be higher than it is? How would I go about doing that? I just would have to feed the bacteria in there, introduce different strains of bacteria in there. But I could do that. That's a whole nother conversation, and one that I think it would work, but I really need to research it a little bit because I don't know it would work. But I do know that when the garden or the truck garden is going, and it seems to be doing well, it's getting rainwater. When we kick the irrigation on, it gets a real punch then. The water's warm, and it's got a lot of microbial action in it that just gives the soil just a real boost. And I don't use any fertilizer out there. I do use a lot of compost, a lot of biochar, and then we're feeding the animals out there, so their manure is going in, and we do turn that down. And that's a conversation there that sometimes folks don't like to have that conversation because they think that animal manure is somehow dirty or unnatural to grow vegetables, and I'm here to tell you it's not. I mean, it's been done for a long time, and it works really well. We're not going to want to, take the tomatoes off and rub them around in a turd or anything like that and say, here you go. But when the roots are in that bacterial action that's provided to us by the manure from the animals, it really works well. So this system is a little bit sustainable in some ways. We put pigs on here, let's say, and then they eat the produce off here, they manure back to here, and then next time we plant over here and have the pigs over here, and they clean up what was here. So the system works together, and it works together very, very nicely. So I'm pretty stoked about this. We have to put gates in here and here. We already have one here and here. This winds up being a driveway. that we go through, because when we're working in there, a lot of times we have to get a vehicle in to bring in, oh, whatever, tools, and then harvesting too. We need a vehicle in there to haul the stuff out. Now, I have this at 300 and 100. I believe that you could scale this down. I think that you could go 30 and 10, something like that, and you could scale this down. And instead of having 30 pigs in there, you could have 2 pigs in there. You know, you never want to have 1, but maybe 2. And maybe 10 would be a little light. Maybe you want to go 20 by 60, something like that. But I believe this system will work to scale. Now, what I have right now, and I know will work, is we have the perimeter fence, this gate, the irrigation system, and all is working well together. So I know that part of it works. Don't have these fences in, but I have an idea with other experiences that I've had that this will work. So that's the direction we're going to go. Okay, let me talk a little bit about construction here. Keeping pigs in is a really good idea. And if you need an example of that, recently we went to a museum and we were gone here for maybe 8 hours. And when we came back, 10 little pigs, no longer than this, had gotten out. And, you know, it was my fault. I did something that I shouldn't have done. And I was preaching about, you know, fencing and how attention to detail and all that stuff. Well, it was my fault they got out for sure. And you wouldn't think they'd do that much damage. But can you imagine if you have, somebody has done a lot of work planting this whole field, and then pigs get from here over into here, and they get over there like 10 o'clock at night, and you're in bed already? You come out in the morning, it's gone, absolutely gone. So in a lot of ways, this system is not for the faint of heart, but if you do things right, it'll work. It's kind of like juggling chainsaws in a way, right? It kind of is. You know, if you can do it effectively, you're going to be all right. But if you don't do it right, you may not be doing it very much longer. So the way that we fence is going to be extremely important. Extremely important. Now, what we use, 39-inch woven wire. And I've seen videos of people putting up fences and stuff. You got to stretch this stuff, and you got to stretch it tight, or the pigs will put their nose under it, just like a camel putting his nose under a tent, and they'll be under it so quick you won't even notice. There again, taking the class would be good, so you can learn how to make corner posts. You can't stretch it unless you have good solid posts on the corners. There's no way you can stretch it. And if you put corner posts in and you don't know what you're doing, you're wasting your time. Believe me, you'll put a lot of work into it and it'll be a waste of time. Some people like to use concrete and they like to dig the holes really deep and all that stuff. We dig the holes 2 feet deep, we don't use concrete, and our fences go nowhere. All right, so that's the best way that we know how to do it. And building gates, really, really important. Your woven wire fences and gates, corner posts, all of that is your secondary system. Your primary system is going to be electric fence. That is a pig farmer's friend, especially if you're out on pastures, electric fence. Pigs, they ground themselves really good. They have pointy hooves and they stick right in the ground. And if they touch an electric fence with their nose, they never forget it. They take it really personal. And so we like to use electric fence pretty well. I like to use solar. And you get about a $300 solar fencer. And they're probably the most foolproof, because if you are plugged in someplace, some kid's gonna come along and unplug it so they can plug in a battery charger or something like that. It will happen, and you won't notice it until it's too late. Or if you use a 12-volt battery, it'll run down or it'll short out or something, and you won't notice it. It can run down in a day or two, and you'll have pigs that are at large again. So I like the solar. It's done all right by me. I use the other two, don't get me wrong. But those are the ones that I pay the most attention to, because my solar fencers, I have 2 of them. They were $300 a piece. They have not let me down. And even when the wire gets buried, pigs still stay away from it. Okay, so it's really important to know how to get that done. We put our electric 1 foot away from the fence and 1 foot off the ground. And if you do that, I believe you'll have good luck with it, because we have. My irrigation system on this, you know, I'm not saying it's imperative to use that. Actually, you can vary this any way you want. It's just that I feel compelled to share this because I'm pretty excited about it. I think that this way of doing things will minimize the work that I have to put into that produce area. It'll minimize the amount of compost necessary to go on it, and it should increase the fertility of the system as time goes by. And I'm not only getting produce off this field, I'm able to turn my pigs in there afterwards, and they're going to take all the refuse on that field. And if you don't think that's a lot, I'm here to tell you, about every foot you get several pounds of refuse off, and they will take that refuse and turn it into high quality pork. Part of the system too is you got to have the right pig. I've had experience with just regular farm pigs, you know, Yorkshire crosses, you know, that are on all these farms around here, and they do well on hog chow, but they're not great foragers. They will dig up your lawn, but they won't maintain their body weight off of that. I have experience with Mangalitsa pigs, and they will. I mean, you could turn them loose in a field with turnips on it, and you will never see them until the turnips are exhausted, and then they'll come to you looking for stuff. This is Mark from Baker's Green Acres. I'm at 12 minutes, signing off.